do you see yourself as a people pleaser? Someone that's always putting other people first, feeling guilty when you're not putting yourself first? Then I think this video would be really helpful if it's certainly a habit that you're looking to try and break, or certainly looking to try and help with. So you're doing more things for yourself first without the guilt that comes with it. And I know this is something that I had issues with, certainly before my operation, where I was just, I feel like I was, whether it was a validation thing, or an acceptance thing from other people, but I found that I was just always looking to do things for other people rather than myself first, and think it was a bad thing if I didn't. And so some of the examples that I was often coming across from myself and with other people, and I could see in other people as well, was I was always finding it hard to say no, and especially hard to say no if you're made to feel guilty for it. So you get asked out with friends or family, and you say no, and you get a response, like, come on, come out, or you're not fun, or you're not cool to be around, or I was really looking forward, like I really do, seeing you, that kind of thing. So you release your boundaries, and you just found it hard to say no. And you did so because you're afraid of just not getting invited again. Whether that was out for like a party, or out for drinks with friends, or like an event, you just felt like if you said no, that you wouldn't be invited again. And you'd be afraid of upsetting people as well. And you felt you're doing things because others wanted you to, and not because you want to. And what I mean by that is you felt like a society pressure, or like a family pressure, peer pressure, or relationship pressures, where you just felt like, again, that you were doing things just for the benefit and appeasal of other people rather than yourself. And it's a quite, again, it's a common thing, but there are kind of ways to help kind of break that habit. And again, these kind of examples may sound extreme, but they do work, and they do give a lot of the power back to you, because ultimately you're the one going through this. It's your journey, it's your life. You have to live it for yourself first. And I know when I kind of had my op, one of the changes was I just stopped giving pardon the phrase, I just stopped giving a shit. And I didn't care if I offended people. Like, that was their problem, it wasn't my problem. Why would I need to give them my energy to appease them, to validate me in that sense? It was kind of that epiphany awakening that it's my energy, I'm going to take it, I'm going to be a bit selfish, and that's okay. And ultimately, you're allowed to put yourself first. Don't be afraid to say no if you're not feeling it. Like if you get invited out, whether it's like drinks, for example, or an event, and you're just not feeling it that day. It's not like you're never going to feel it again, but just in that moment, you just feel like I just don't fancy it. Like, my energy isn't there. I'm not feeling it. So then you just say no, and just explain like why. Like, you don't have to lie. You don't have to deal with the repercussions. The world won't end by you saying no. You don't know that people are going to get upset or going to get mad if you say no. It's just something that you don't know for a fact. And it's okay to not feel the pressure just for the sake of appeasing others. And you're showing yourself love first. And I think that's one of the kind of key things in putting yourself first, is you're saying no just to put yourself first, and that's not a bad thing. Like, there's a saying that's like, every time you say yes to someone else, I'm saying no to myself. And I think that was kind of a strong moment in itself, that by saying no to yourself, you're just putting others first. And while there's a time and a place in a circumstance for that, it's just as validating to, again, just to put yourself first. The world's not going to end. There's no guarantee that they're going to get upset. There's no guarantee that you're never going to be invited out to something again, just for the one chance you say, no, I'm not interested. If you're going to say no all the time, then yeah, maybe you're not going to get an invite again. But just off of one occasion, it'd be silly to think that that is the end of the world situation. And if you're ever made to feel bad about putting yourself first, and it's often a reaction of others' insecurities, that's just my take on it. That's the people-pleasing tendencies in them, I think, as well. It's the insecurities of them needing validation from you in order to appease them, if that makes sense. But do you want to be around those people? Do you want to be around the people that make you feel that they're going out of their way to make you feel guilty just because you want to put yourself first? Is that the energy that you'd want to be around? That's, again, maybe their own insecurities, that they need external validation to make themselves feel good, and that's just work, in all honesty. It's work that they need to do. It's just little things like that. And also setting boundaries, and the importance of setting boundaries, in a sense of, don't allow yourself to feel judged for putting yourself first. That's a good boundary to have. It's just the art, weirdly enough, it's the art of not giving a shit, as I mentioned before, for putting yourself first. As I said, if they're going to take issue with that, then that's their problem. It's not, you shouldn't be made to feel bad. That's not an aggressive way of aggressive saying to you're not caring. It's just, as I said, you're just putting yourself first. You're putting your energy in yourself first, and you keeping enough energy for yourself. Like, don't give it out to other people. If you're there out and you're out with friends, but again you're not feeling it, you're just giving your energy out to other people. It's, how can I work it so I'm giving energy to myself? There may be times where you just, out of compromise, you are doing things that you may not love doing. It's not like you hate it, but how can you bring the best version of yourself to that situation? How can you keep some of that energy for yourself, that you do make the best out of a situation that you perhaps didn't want to be in at that time, that you're trying to have as much fun, that you are there and you're present for the people that you're there with? Because otherwise, with these little things, you'll fail to break the habit if you find that you are just doing things for the appraisal of other people. Because ultimately, it's one of the things that helped change my journey, and is just like, even this is all in relationships as well as your own career, as well as your own life trajectory. One of the things I saw on like an Aaron Doherty video on YouTube, who's worth following if you don't already, that it's just a visualization of being the leading role in your own movie, not the bit part in someone else's. And I think that was one of the key changes for me. Was I felt I was putting so much energy into trying to be a part of other people's story in their movie that I stopped being, I wasn't the leading role in mine. I wasn't the hero in my own movie. And as soon as I shifted into that perspective of, well, this is my movie, I'm going to be the leading role, I can't expect anyone else to do it for me, that I started just doing things for myself. I started putting myself first without any care of the repercussions, without any care of people's judgment. I didn't care what people think if I was going to put myself first, or the decisions that I made. And that was a big change in itself, that again, the energy's there on you to again do the things that you want to do. And I felt that was key. And what doing all these little things can provide, some of the results that they can give, just by setting boundaries, by putting yourself first, by keeping the energy within yourself and not compromising. It's you're being more loving to yourself. You're showing more love to yourself because you're putting yourself first, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And you live your life, not someone else's, which is one of the things with like people pleasing, is you find you're just doing more things to help him like kind of work their story rather than your own. I think that is one of the key results, is you're living your life and not someone else's. And that way you feel more powerful and you feel more confident of your own actions, and you find you're just less anxious because you care less. And again, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's lack of caring in that it's, again, through putting yourself first. It's, you're not caring what other people think. You're not worried about the repercussions of by saying no to someone, of thinking it's the end of the world. You just don't think like that anymore. And if you're made to feel that way, then, as I said, that's their problem. It's not your problem. And boundaries are helpful, and you soon realise that when boundaries are in place, you see those people stop taking advantage of you as much. That there is then becomes a neutral energy. You start doing things that you want to do, and you start just going out and doing things that you want to do for your own benefit and the compromise with other people. And hopefully that makes sense. And those are little ways that you can break the habit of people pleasing. It's not as treacherous, it's not as painful as you really think. It can be quite an easy process once you say no the first time and start listening to your own intuition. You listen to, as cliche, listen to what your heart wants to do, because your heart, again, corny as it sounds, it never sets you wrong. It's just doing things that for you and for the things that you want to do. So hopefully you found that video useful. As usual, just give it a like and hit subscribe to get more videos on similar sort of topics. And hope you found it useful.